that exists.
But here's the truth that we know, is that Jeffrey Epstein was in prison
Is
for
he
many
still
of these
dead, by the
crimes.
way?
He died on Trump's watch under Bill Barr as Attorney General.
Did Trump kill
Bill
him? Is that what
Barr
you're
said
saying?
there's nothing to see here. Let's move on. Justice has been served. And Trump kept tweeting about it.
What are you suggesting?
Throughout the entire bite. I am suggesting.
I love what you're saying. Trump went into the
Let me
prison and
finish the
killed
sentence
him?
then.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel, where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Last week, Kevin O'Leary was back on the panel of Newsnight with Abby Phillip. The topics the panel discussed. You know what? Since they talk about the same topics on every episode, I'm tired of repeating myself, and you guys can figure it out. So I'm just gonna let you guess which topics were covered. Got it? Anyway, let's watch Kevin O'Leary shred these liberal talking heads. Let's go.
Here's what he had to say about the Epstein saga.
When Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. The whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this? This one's a line in the sand. When you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
I mean, essentially, he's saying Trump is insulting the intelligence of his own base.
Which is not, that part is not unusual, right? In general, of saying, tariffs aren't going to hurt you, or lying about policies. What's unusual about this is Trump has actively told his base to move on. He's called them weaklings and that this is wrong. And it gets to the heart of what really unites left and right in this circumstance. I wish I could say it was the victims, but I think it's about the awareness of power imbalances and how people, almost anything. And Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were the brokers for people in power to do things that anybody else would have been thrown in prison
But
for.
yeah, we don't have a single name of anybody that's in power that was associated with that. With
Which
this, and
is
this
hard,
is bizarre.
right? And so this gives, it's hard to
Why does Trump
believe.
keep changing his story on this? Can I ask you a question? Sure. Why does Trump keep changing his story?
My answer to this whole thing is, who cares? I mean, this is not new
young girls
information.
who
We've
were
got
sex
a
trafficked.
felon in prison who will do anything to shorten her sentence, and she wants indemnification. I don't think she's going to get it. Epstein, still dead as of last night, dead today, dead tomorrow, more dead the day after that.
So why is Trump considering, he continues to not rule out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? To your point, she's been convicted, right? She's been convicted of actually some very serious crimes. And many of the victims are publicly, they implicate her very directly in this whole scheme.
She is a felon convicted.
But why won't Trump rule out pardoning her? Why are they even talking to her about an immunity deal? Why?
Okay, if any of you cared about the victims, you wouldn't drag these women who are in childbearing years now, some of them having children, back into the limelight, back into the same story to expose them again to this hideous outcome, because these guys.
Because if you don't,
so you want to do that,
do it
you
to
are
somebody
hurting
else.
them.
They could be doing it to somebody else
They
right
don't
now.
want
as
you
we
to
sit here on
help them
TV.
anymore. They want them.
How do you know that? What are you
I
basing
know
that
with
on?
certainty they'd rather
You've
live out
spoken
their
to the
lives than
victims
keep
who
being
said
brought
they
back
don't want justice
talking
brought
about
forth.
Epstein. You really think they want that now?
You're
They're
speaking
done
on
with
behalf
it.
of women, saying that you've personally spoken to victims who said they do not
I have
want
spoken
justice
to
pursued.
no one. I'm just being
Okay,
pragmatic.
so then that is an
You're
irresponsible
dragging out
statement.
women.
You have
who
no
would,
idea what
don't
these
you
young
think
women
if it
want.
was you'd rather get on with your life? Aren't you
No,
done
if
with
it
this?
were me, I
You
would
wanna
want
keep-
justice pursued. If
Here's
it were
here's
me.
here's
who
who
left
should
on
be.
you will not be able to
Money?
do
What
it
do you
again.
want?
Here's
I
who
would want
should
the
get on
truth
with
to
his
come
life.
out.
The truth is out. There's a prisoner and there's a dead guy. That's the truth. All right?
And that's
what
the
happened.
only truth that
And
exists.
but here's the truth that we know, is that Jeffrey Epstein was in prison
Is
for
he
many
still
of these
dead, by the
crimes.
way?
He died on Trump's watch under Bill Barr as Attorney General.
Trump kill
Bill
him? Is that what
Barr
you're
said
saying?
there's nothing to see here. Let's move on. Justice has been served. And Trump kept tweeting about it.
What are you suggesting?
Throughout the entire bite. I'm
I
suggesting.
love what you're saying. Trump went into the
Let me
prison and
finish the
killed
sentence
him?
then.
That's not-
Idea of making it visible and phically accessible to people that resonates with consumers.
Because everybody
It does
wants their
nothing.
money.
It does nothing for the actual economy.
Right, and I got to agree with Kevin on this. This kind of thing that Holly's putting out there, it worries me because there's so much in this administration that, okay, there might be some good ideas, but the left hand and the right hand are not doing the same thing. The debt really is the most important thing. And when you get down to what consumers are going to be feeling in the next few years, boy, if the debt remains where it is and we don't do something about that, borrowing costs are going to soar, and that is going to be much more impactful ultimately. If you're paying double digits on your mortgages or on your car loans the way people were in the 70s, that's a way bigger deal than what's happening with tariffs right now, and we don't really know what's going to happen for another couple of quarters probably.
And this wasn't even Holly's idea. This was Donald Trump said this last week, and I think Holly is trying to jump on this because he just is fresh off this vote to cut Medicaid, and the people in his state are not happy with him. So I think he's just regurgitating one of Donald Trump's random thoughts. Even economists say this is just a Band-Aid that will actually that will actually exacerbate the bleeding.
The General Motors CFO came on this week saying, look, our margins are down 45% specifically because of tariffs on car parts. But as a company, we're going to fix it in the next 6 months. And there's a lot of optimism what he said. He said a third of it we're going to eat in our margins. A third we're going to push back to the consumers and raise the prices of our automobiles in the U.S. But here's the one that the market loved. He said, and a third we're just going to fix because of AI productivity. And all of a sudden, every
like job
sector of
losses
the
to me.
economy is talking about the potential productivity of AI. And he was very specific. Now, it takes a lot of kahunas to say you're going to fix a 45% reduction in your margins, and the market bought it. And so we're looking for that productivity.
Because the market
there's a
isn't
reason-
being
there's a
led by
reason
how
to buy
workers
it.
feel or how workers are.
I've thought a lot about the Trump Epstein stuff, and in that clip, obviously the panel's acting like Donald Trump has something to hide by not releasing Epstein-related documents. And look, if I was the opposition, I'd say the same thing. And I don't know how you guys feel, but it does feel like a 180 from President Trump. So that's the reason I've thought about it a lot, because when I don't have all the information, I've always trusted Donald Trump to do the right thing, because I feel like the times he's been questioned, more often than not, it turns out he was making the choice for a reason. The Epstein thing's not over, and we'll see how it shakes out, but I'm going to continue to trust his judgment until I'm given reason not to. I've listed a lot of reasons before that none of them are definitive proof, but just make me think that Donald Trump is not in these files doing something, awful at Epstein Island. A couple more things popped into my head recently. He's suing the Wall Street Journal over comments they've made about him related to Epstein. It's just not something you do if you're scared incriminating info is going to leak. People that are guilty of something heinous and it's being successfully hidden don't invite more legal battles. They avoid them. Meanwhile, Trump also just told the DOJ to go ahead and approve the release of the grand jury testimony down in Florida. So it's just another guy that doesn't seem to be running from anything. I still don't know what the motivation is. Like I said, none of that's definitive. So while Donald Trump's actions, behavior around the Epstein stuff, I think it's very fair to question it. It just doesn't appear to me that he's a guy that's running from anything. Now, as far as the substance of their conversation, I don't really agree with Kevin O'Leary when he says Americans don't care about Epstein. I absolutely think they do. But he is right on the broader point. It's not in the top 3 issues for most voters. People are far more worried about inflation, trade, the national debt, the border. But that's kind of the whole purpose of segments like these, is the CNN panel wants to talk about Epstein because they don't want to talk about Trump's wins on the economy. Back to it.
By those other countries. They're just going to have a harder time getting their goods in here. We're the ones ultimately who have to head up the pocketbook.
To the
So
consumer.
before, Kevin, 1.2% was the tariff level on EU imports. Now it's 15%, and that's supposed to be a huge victory for Americans?
15 up to 27. The EU deal was negotiated by a team of 5 representing 26 different jurisdictions. Both the French and the German came out this morning and said we're not happy with the outcome of that negotiation. The only reason the Europeans have agreed to an asymmetric tariff, in other words, they're paying more to come and bring their products here than we are paying to go into Europe, is because of 2 sectors, pharma and automotive. They can't give up access to the American market for these behemoth businesses they have in pharma and automotive. What's interesting about this whole narrative about rebate checks, because Trump also brought it up, and these other ideas, that's a bad idea. What should be happening now with any extra income is to pay down the national debt.
I would agree
That's
with
the opportunity, because the greatest gift you can give to the future is to pay down the debt, which is just really, really big. And so I think at the end of the day, we're still negotiating with these countries because we don't have deals with Mexico, no deals with Canada, India, no deal. Europe looks like it's negotiating something here, but the real big mama is China. and we're just starting the dance with those guys. That's a big deal, and no administration has ever tried to do all this at once.
Yeah.
You get the headline number, but you don't have the details.
I mean, but even to your point, I mean, China is a big deal, but the Times had an interesting statistic, courtesy of Goldman Sachs. 56% of U.S. imports, Canada, Mexico, South Korea, Brazil, and India, no deal yet with any of those countries, and the deadline is August 1st. It's coming. So what is Trump going to do when more than half of the countries that we trade with, there's no deal, and tariffs are going to trigger 30%, 40%, 50% in some cases?
Yeah, well,
All right, the $600 rebate check. I really like Josh Hawley, but this ain't it. $600 won't offset anything long term. People are going to burn through that cash on a weekend. And by the time prices actually go up, if they do, nobody's going to remember where that money came from. It's not just bad economics, it's bad politics. And it muddies the message. Trump's entire trade strategy is about long-term leverage without expanding the deficit. You start handing out checks, and suddenly Republicans look like Democrats, spending money to paper over real strategy. What's that going to signal to the American people about the party's commitment to the debt? Good old Abby gives us at least one every time. How about when she jumped in right as Kevin quotes the GM president saying they'll optimize with AI as part of their strategy to deal with tariffs? What's her first reaction? Sounds like job losses to me. What a miserable, defeatist way to look at the world. Kevin's quoting positive, forward-looking business strategy, and CNN's spinning it as economic collapse. Trump's playing the long game. The media can't see past next week. But what do you guys think? Is the media obsessing over Epstein now? Because remember, they never cared before because they're afraid to admit Trump's trade strategy is working? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. First of all, let me address, sorry about the bad lighting in this one. I'm just filming at a different time of day. I couldn't avoid it. And also, I hope it's not too frustrating for y'all to watch the overlay over the screen. As I've mentioned, I've just had too many videos stolen, and I wish I could say it's because of my riveting commentary, but I think it's because they could just crop out my assets and make the video full screen. So I was just making it easy for people to steal my stuff. Subscribe to my second channel, The Dispatch Wire. Do all your shopping through my Amazon affiliate links. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, as always, I really, really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. Never forget Jesus loves you. See you guys.